September 11th, 2001. The day America wept. A day which none of us will ever forget. Today marks the 19th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. So in this video I'm going to go through what happened, whether it could have been prevented, and why these attacks were carried out. On Tuesday, the 11th of September 2001, 19 terrorists from the Islamic extremist group Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 planes and turned them into guided missiles. At 8:46, the first plane, American Airlines Flight 11, hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center, hitting the building between the 93rd and 99th floors. At 9:03, United Airlines Flight 175, the second plane, hit the South Tower. At 9:37, American Airlines Flight 77 hit the Pentagon. Just before 10 o'clock in the morning, the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed. Then at 10:03, United Airlines Flight 93 crashed in a field in Pennsylvania after the passengers fought against the hijackers. It was believed that this plane was targeting either the White House or the Congress building. No one on board survived. And at 10:28, the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed. 2,977 people died that day. One of the biggest criticisms that a lot of people have of the 9/11 attacks was the response of the military that day. The military struggled to respond to the attacks and were actually nowhere near any of the planes when they hit their targets. However, one man went over and beyond to prevent more tragedy. Ben Sliney was an air traffic controller for 30 years, and on September the 11th, he was promoted to National Operations Manager for the Federal Aviation Administration. After the second plane hit the South Tower, he responded by issuing a national ground stop order, which basically means no aircraft can take off and join American airspace. After the third plane hit the Pentagon, he gave an order, what is quite an extreme order to give, but it had reached that point, where he gave the order to land every aircraft at their nearest airport regardless of destination. He really did respond to the best of his ability that day. Now, could the attacks have been prevented? Well, yes, to put it mildly. The Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, had gathered intelligence of an Al-Qaeda plan to attack America and discovered the identity of several of the terrorists. I'm probably going to mispronounce these. There was Al-Midhar and Al-Hazmin. As far as I can recall, were 2 of the names of them. However, when these 2 terrorists entered the United States, the CIA lost the trail, because tracking them was the responsibility of the FBI when they were in the country. Now, due to the famous communications wall, the so-called wall, prevented the CIA from giving critical intelligence to the FBI. Now, they couldn't even tell that the pair were in the country. That just tells you how limited they were. Now, the reason why the wall is there, which is policy, is that agents involved in intelligence gathering can't share information with agents involved in law enforcement, because intelligence gathered from sources like the CIA are considered inadmissible in a US court of law. Now, as far as I'm aware, that has changed, but I'm not 100% sure. I hope it has. So basically, the wall allowed the terrorists to travel around the US without being tracked. And on the day, the terrorists got through airport security pretty much without incident. Many of them were actually carrying box cutter knives, which were actually legal at the time. So what was the goal of these attacks? Well, the main goal was to break America in the areas where America is powerful. There were three specific areas: economic power, military power, and political power. And if you think about it, each of the targets represents those three areas. The attack on the World Trade Center was to break America's economic power. The attack on the Pentagon was to break America's military power. And the planned attack on the White House or Congress building was to break America's political power. But in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, America responded a little differently. They responded with anger. Now, I have noticed terrorist groups seem to keep making this mistake about America and the people of America. If you attack them in this kind of way, all it does is just piss them off. And they will get you back. As was seen with the leader of Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, 10 years later when he was killed. 9/11 shocked the world into action to fight those who aim to destroy the free world. And the real heroes on the war on terror are ordinary people. People who harmed no one, but have to respond when terror strikes. 343 firefighters died at the Twin Towers when they collapsed. These firefighters were climbing up the stairs of the building, trying to rescue as many people who were trapped inside. 60 police officers died when the buildings collapsed, as they were leading people away from the burning buildings. And the passengers on United 93 gave their lives to put a stop to the attacks. Today, we stand together to remember those heroes. And we will always Remember,